can we keep God relevant in our children's lives? Because I even see with the generation now, they're so technologically inclined. That's their word, relevant. It has to be relevant. It just has to be current, or in general, things or experiences has to kind of, I'm attempting not to use their words because they always mess with me, vibe with you, or but I was just asking you as a young person, because of how you guys think, your minds work, technology, it has to be something that really catches you. And I know we might be able to train our children as, and say, okay, you come to church with me when, and even that's changing, because before it would be like everybody goes to church on Sunday. There was a time that everybody got together, just like the same thing where everybody sit down and eat. Everybody come together, and we know if in no other day we're going to church on Sunday. But now, that has changed, where either the children know the Lord and they go to church by themselves, or the parents, or the wife, she goes, the husband doesn't, or, it's just all over. But as far as with the children, how do you, like a child that you've been taking along this whole time, come to church, come to church, come to church, and now they don't want your God. They don't want to go to church anymore.
That was the perfect illustration to answer that question, and I want to share based on something that I have observed with your family, is when you said a lot of times in families, it's just come to church. We just take our children to church, get up, we're all going. But in your book and just in your life, it becomes a part of, God is part of your everyday life. The prayer, the teaching, it's just everyday life. So it's God is always. But the point is, just by God just being a part of their natural everyday life, it was just like breathing to them. Right. And that just makes God relevant.
And I just want to say, talking about my personal life, that we laid the foundation, a godly foundation, when my children were small. Now, when they went off to school, before they left the house, we had prayer with them. And then not only have prayer with them, there were times when they had to pray. It was like around the circuit. Dad prayed first, I prayed, then my two sons would pray. So prayer was, they knew that was a part of our life. They knew that. And so not only that, but even when I remember my little baby he was small, and he would fall and get hurt. He would come to me, Mommy, pray for me. Pray for this leg, it hurt, I fell. I would pray for his leg, and I said, it's better now, Mommy, better now. See, he just knew everything was surrounded by prayer. If things are not working right, Mommy, pray, So I had that in my life, my family life. My kids knew Bible. We read the Bible. We talked about the Bible together. And it was just something that was a normal thing in my household. And even when they got older, they still came to church. They were grown, but they still was in church. And then my youngest son kind of fell back a little bit, but he never stopped going to church. He got a little taste of the world, but he still would come to church. But now I look at them now, and I see that they are great men of God. I see now, and I look at them and their families, and some of the same things we were doing, they're doing it with their family.
And that's what it is. It's gonna keep going.
Families
are it's generational. And stuff that you implement, and we want to always, just even as I talked about before with patterns, we want to make sure that we're giving them the best patterns, our children and so forth.
That's true.
Just so, because it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going, especially
Yeah.
they see value
That's it.
in it. And I like what you said before. It's an everyday practice. You know what? And I would say in our family, we made it like this. It's like God is not corny. It's not a, oh, you go to church and
Yeah.
we made it where I would say they saw the value in the principles or the different things and the different things that you see in the Word, you can apply it. Like, for instance, Jason, one of his favorite scriptures was, I can do all things, or is, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me.
Right.
When he went out the building, he used it for skateboarding. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He was jumping off stairs, like, off the top of the stuff I can't watch, because for him, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He's building a business, very successful at it at this point. Because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. For him, there's no limit.
I think it has something to do with what Dr. Miller was saying. When you're younger, it's good to instill values in the children that you want them to have when they're older. And the Bible says that you train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. So,
That's true.
in that saying, there's certain things that you want to train your child for, and even what the example that you were talking about before about you taking a child to church and then one day he says I don't want your God anymore. I think that is more of a problem if you train your child to grow to go for religion versus training your child to have an actual relationship with God. I think that's I think going to church. You don't. It's good to go to church, but it's not necessary to go to church to have a relationship with God. I wouldn't say that. Is that correct?
You have a relationship.
You can
with
have.
him,
Yeah, you can
but
have a
it's
relationship.
good to come together.
Yeah, it's good to come.
Just
that's
like
what I'm
this
saying.
with
It's
the
better.
gathering.
Don't
It's-
have a relationship with God just because you go to church.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I say it like that. So, I think it's more important to teach children to have a relationship with God for themselves, and that's what I feel that you did with Bishop and Minister Asa. That's what I feel like my parents did with all of us, where they taught us, even the simple things like you get a cut. Who makes you feel better? God. And you have a bad dream. Who do you pray to? God. Something comes up. Who do you pray to? Something that you don't like. Bully or whatever.
Right.
You take it to God. And I think those things is what builds the child to have a relationship for God. So I feel like that would cancel out. I feel like if you train up your child to go to have a relationship, that would cancel out him, straying. Well, not straying, but not wanting to serve God. Because if you have a relationship and you build a relationship with somebody, that's a relationship that's built on love and trust, or whatever the relationship is built of, then that's when they can go on and grow even after. Because to be honest, right now, if say I left my house or whatever, I would still go on and have a relationship with God. I wouldn't just because I left my parents' house that I would have anything to do with God anymore, because my parents my parents showed me what a relationship with God is.
I understand what he's saying. Your family laid the foundation, a godly foundation.
Right.
So even when you leave your house, you leave it at night, that's still instilled in you.
Yeah.
You can even stray. Like I said, my young son strayed, but still, he would say to me when he had strayed a little bit, and he said, "Ma, I can hear you praying." Now, I'm nowhere around him. I'm nowhere around him, but he can hear me praying. He came home and said, "Ma, I hear you praying for me." He said, "You need to stop because you're messing up my thing." Can you believe that? He was serious. You need to stop because some stuff out there he was doing he should have been doing. You need to stop because you're messing me up. And when he said that, I prayed more. I really wanted to mess him up until he came back. I just say, you know, if they got, like I say, they stray, but if the word and that godly foundation has been instilled in that individual, they can go so far, they will come back. I know that because my young son, he's out there. He's back now, he's pastoring, he got a packed church, and he loves the Lord, and he got a great family.
A lot of the times, children end up, straying away from God because sometimes their parents, like, everyone was saying, they make it more of a religion thing instead of it being like a lifestyle. So for me, because it was like forced upon me, as opposed to showing me like, okay, this is the things that are, in church, these are the things that you can do, as opposed to it being a task, it caused me to like want to rebel and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to go to church because it was forced on me. But as I got older and I saw, like, like people said, you don't have to go to church just to have a relationship with God. But I saw, like, my faith grew stronger once I stopped going to church, and it led me to start going to church again. So a lot of it has to do with, looking up to your parents, because no matter what, your children are going to look up to you no matter what, even as adults. So if you only pray to God, when good things are happening, your children are going to represent the same thing and do that same thing.
I think it is important, first of all, that as a parent you do lay the foundation for your children. But me personally, when I remember going to church was only for like Easter or New Year's or like around Christmas time. So I kind of associated church as like a place I didn't want to be, very uncomfortable, around people I didn't know, didn't really want to be there. So as I grew up, I didn't go to church because that's what I that's what I associated with church. I always believed in God. I always knew there was a God, but I felt like it was very confined. Like he was very like more so like a person I couldn't really like relate to or talk to if I wasn't in that like building, in that type of environment. So I feel like as I grew up, I didn't really like want to go to church. So I feel like you shouldn't like judge your children. Like let's say they don't want your God, but you've laid that foundation for them. And there's going to come a point where they're going to have an encounter with God, and they're going to be able to make that decision. So I feel like as a parent, even though you don't like agree with that decision that they're making at that time, you always need to be there as a support for them and for someone that they can feel like they can talk to. Because the worst thing you can do is like shut out your child and they feel like, wow, I'm really in like a huge mess and I have nobody to talk to. Like I can't even talk to my mom because she's going to judge me for this or what I did here. So I feel like it's always like at that right time when God calls that person, they will go, despite what their thoughts are about God or how they feel about God or what they thought they knew about him. He will reveal himself to them when the time is right. So you just always have to be there and be open and non-judgmental.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Never, ever, like you said, that's the worst thing you can do, is to snub your children as if you, or try to Bible beat them. Stuff the Bible down their throat. You're because you don't believe in me, you will lose that child. Our job, to me, as parents, is to, and the Lord even said, it's like sowing the seed. You train them up. You lay the foundation, and that's even in with. I even read something else where it says about even when you evangelize to people. Our job is not to change the heart of the person or to sway the person in the direction. That's God's job. He brings the increase. He's the one that does that. But our job is to just introduce, plant the seed, and allow the Lord to do his thing. Like you said, as you go, the Lord is going to call that person on his own. And they'll answer when that time comes for them. But the best thing is to keep that relationship tight where they're able to go to you, because they're not going to want your God.